It's time once again for your weekly update from the city of New Hope, and the mayor is with us, Kathi Hemken, sitting in front of the golf course. You might recognize the ninth hole there on the New Hope Village Golf Course. Welcome, Mayor. How are you today?
Hi, thanks, Dave. I'm not golfing today, but maybe tomorrow.
Thinking about golf, though, as we all should be at this beautiful time of the year. We've got quite a bit to update residents on happening in the city, and the first is some election news. The process is moving along. What has happened in the last part of May, and what can residents look forward to as far as the election?
Well, in New Hope, we have two candidates for city council that have filed, and along with that, three other people have filed. And because there's more than 2 times the amount of spots that are open, which would be 4, there'll be 5. So there'll be a primary. And that primary is going to happen on the 9th of August. Now, if you have moved, or even if you've changed departments, you need to re-register to vote. And to do that, you can go to this mnvotes.org, or you can go to City Hall and register there, but you have to bring proper ID with, which means a driver's license and something with your address on it, like a utility bill. And you can register there. You have until the 19th of July to register, pre-register. After that, you'll have to be registering when you go to the polls. Now, you can do mail-in voting, and that'll start, I think, the 24th of June. So you can request a mail-in ballot. There's all kinds of things you can do. And if you go into this mnvotes.org, you'll be able to see what you can do. And you can always call City Hall and say, I'm interested in voting. I want to register. What do I do? They'll even mail you out a registration form.
Very good. So again, in the city of New Hope, there will be a primary for the 2 open council seats, with 2 incumbents running and then 3 others running as well. And all of the seats in the city of New Hope are at large, correct? So explain what that means for residents so they know that really everyone votes for everyone in the city of New Hope.
They do. Well, some cities have wards or districts, but in New Hope, we don't have that. We're a different type of city. And so all of our members on the council and me basically work for everybody in the city. So there's not a ward you'll be voting for. When you go in to vote, you'll vote for 2 on that ballot, and then the top 2 on that primary will go, or the top 4 will go to the ballot that'll come out, and you'll vote on the primary in August on that.
Very good. All right. And mnvotes.org if you want to find out more about the registration process. We've talked a little bit about the Rave Awards in recent weeks, opportunity for residents to be recognized. Tell us a little bit more about that process.
Well, the Rave Award is what we like to give out when people have gone above and beyond, either fixing up the interior or the exterior of their homes. And it's just a way to recognize how nice you can fix up your home if you want to. They're accepting nominations for that now. You can nominate yourself, or you can nominate your neighbor or somebody else, but you have to, the person nominated, of course, has to live in New Hope. It has to be a New Hope property. So you have until the 22nd of July to put those nominations in, and then a group of volunteers go out and they'll view the properties, and then they give out the awards at one of the council meetings after the 22nd of July.
Very nice. And to find out more about it, go to the city's website, newhopemn.gov, and you can go under Live Recognition and then Resident Recognition to find out more, or just search for Rave, and I bet you can find it there. Curbside Appeal program. We've been talking about this a little bit. Again, remind residents of what that is and how they can get involved.
Well, that's a new program we're starting. And the idea is to spruce up what you see from the street. So you can't put in windows in the back of your house. That isn't going to work. We want you to spruce up what was seen from the street. And so we'll reimburse you 25% of the cost of your project, with a minimum of reimbursement of $1,000 and a maximum reimbursement of $5,000. So anytime you're ready to submit the project, make sure you submit it beforehand to make sure it's approved, and that we know what you're doing to the house. But this is a good way to get a quarter of your project paid for.
Yeah, neat opportunity for residents. We've been talking the past couple of weeks about 5802 Boone, a property in the city of New Hope that the city is keeping an eye on. Give us the latest news there.
Well, it's a mess. So it's a foreclosed property, and there's a management company who says, well, we really can't remove any of the junk from the yard because we don't know what's junk. Well, it's junk. It's just garbage. And so they have till sometime today, Monday, to remove that and cut the grass. If they don't do that, then the city will step in and we'll call a company and we'll remove that junk, and then we'll hire a contractor to mow the grass. At that point, we give the bill to the bank, but the bank says they don't really own it. So what'll probably happen is we'll assess the taxes on that property.
Okay. Mhm.
And that's what we normally do when we have to go in and do the work. We assess the property taxes. So somehow it'll get done. It really looks terrible. And I feel bad for the neighbors, but I would guess by the end of this week, it should be looking a little better anyway.
Very good. We like to keep residents up to date on businesses around town. We're going to sprinkle in a few business notes here. The first is a gas station at 169 and 49th. What is the latest on that development of some ownership changing?
Well, they sold it and it's going to become a marathon gas station. Well, the owners came to us and said, as you're driving north on 169, you can't see their sign because of some trees that are on city property in the wetlands that we don't intend to cut down. And so they want a variance on the sign so they can have the sign a little bit higher so that people can actually see it. And then there's that noise wall that's blocking the view some. So we'll see what the planning commission says on that, but something's happening with that.
Monthly single-family conversions to rentals, something on an occasional basis. We update you on some numbers here. What is the latest number count for 2022 in this area?
Well, for 2022 so far, 11 houses have changed from single family owners to rental, and 6 have converted back from rental to single family. And that's pretty much what happens because a lot of people go south and they rent their house out for the winter. Mm-hmm. And then when they come back, they put it back into owner occupied. So it isn't like a whole bunch of houses are being converted to rental. A lot of them are converted, then come back to owner occupied.
Let's move to scattered site housing. We've been talking quite a bit over, I think, the past year probably about this one on 42nd and Boone and the process taking place there. And this is known as the Treehouse property for many years. And you've been getting some questions just to clarify what has gone on with that property and what will we see next?
Well, it is Treehouse, and the Treehouse management are the ones that decided to abandon the house and move the Treehouse operation to Plymouth. The city had nothing to do with that. All we're doing is buying the property. Mm-hmm. Because this makes it so they don't have to have an inspection. They don't have to do any work to it. We're just simply buying it. Now we're going to tear that property down. But before we do that, we're letting the police and the fire department do some training in there. There won't be any fires in the house, by the way. They're just going to do some inside training. Okay. The other thing is we have to do a mitigation of hazardous materials. If there's any asbestos in the house, that has to be identified and then removed before we tear it down. And then a forester comes in and decides what trees have to come down. And then a survey crew will decide how to divide the lot. And then we can, once the lots are divided, the house is down, then we can sell those lots to developers. And the developers that we pick then will bring house plans in for us, for the city council. We'll look at those plans and then we'll decide what type of house is going there. There are actually 2 houses there on that corner.
Mm-hmm. All right, something that will keep us busy for a while, it seems like. We'll keep talking about it and keep you up to date. Something recently ended called NoMo May. Tell us a little bit more about NoMo May and what it means now for people as they try to get out and mow the grass.
Well, New Hope decided to not officially declare that we're going to be a NoMo May city. Okay. We just indicated that we weren't going to be fining people if they let their grass grow in May. Mm-hmm. Well, May is over, and you better get that grass mowed. And from what I hear, it's really a problem to mow because it clogs up the mower because it's so long. Mm-hmm. But it still needs to be mowed, and if it isn't mowed, you'll get a little notice that says you're mow it or you're going to be fined.
All right. We've had quite a bit of rain here recently, so the grass did all of a sudden pop up. So get out there and see what you can do. Business Networking Group, recent meeting was just held, and now we're looking ahead to the month of July. What's coming up for that group?
Well, we usually have it the first Wednesday of the month, but because of the 4th of July, they're going to move it to the 3rd Wednesday, which is the 20th of July. Mm-hmm. And that will be at Pocket Square. That's where the old Malt and Mud was. And they'll have it there, and it starts at 3:00.
few more businesses to let you know about of what's going on. Cafe Meow, we've talked about this going into the area of 36th and Winnetka in that strip mall. How is that project coming along?
Well, that's the one that's right next to Tires Plus, that same mall where Ruger's Bagel is and the hardware store. They tell me they think they're going to be able to open before the end of the month.
Okay.
So we'll see. We'll see. They said they have cats and they're ready. And all these cats will be up for adoption, by the way. So they'll be serving coffee. I don't know if they're going to have any nibbles with that coffee.
Okay.
But then you just go through a door, an internal door into the cat room, and you can hang out with the cats and decide if you want to adopt one.
Sounds like a neat concept. Another business to mention is Pioneer Metal, located at 4800 and Quebec. Some work being done on that building to help with some sound issues. Tell us more about that.
Well, they need to have big blowers on their roof because they need to exhaust what they're doing in there. And those blowers are very noisy and it's very disturbing to the neighbors to the south. And so we went in and did some noise studies and determined that, yes, they were above the decibel levels. And so they got some mats that somehow absorb the sound. And those mats have been ordered and they think they'll have that done in the next couple of weeks. So hopefully, and I just want to mention, thank you neighbors for letting us know. We don't necessarily drive around at night listening for stuff. And so if people don't tell us, we really don't know. So we do appreciate when the neighbors call and tell us that there's a problem.
One update for you from the police department. This is a cute story. As an event was going on at City Hall, lo and behold, some Girl Scouts show up, and boy, did they get a nice treat. What happened?
Well, it was the day that Kirk McDonald was retiring. So there was a big party there, if you will. And a lot of the police officers were in the hall and just a lot of people around. And lo and behold, here comes a bunch of first graders from Spanish immersion school. And they came to give the police officers cookies.
Nice.
So we took them on a little tour of City Hall and I let them sit up at the console desk for a little bit and shake the hands of the chiefs. And the fire chiefs were there and the different police chiefs from different cities, and the little girls were just thrilled.
Yes.
So they brought boxes and boxes of cookies for the police officers. And there's a picture of all the little girls and the police officers. So it was a pretty fun day for the police officers too.
Yeah, neat event happening. All right, let's go to Public Works, talk about a few things happening out and about the city. The first is potholes. The city would like to fix those up, but the city needs to know. Is that correct?
They do. Then again, if there's a pothole that either you drive over every day and it's like, oh, gee, you need to either go onto the city's website to report it or call. You can always just call me or you can call the city and tell us where the pothole is. And we'll have somebody go out and fix it. But we don't drive around and just looking for potholes.
All right.
If we come across them, of course, we'll fix them. But if we don't know it's there. So please let us know that they're there. We need all the eyes we can get to help us keep the city in good shape.
Great idea. newhopemn.gov, again, the website to find out ways to get that information across. Couple other public works note: street sweeping and tree grinding. So some of the spring things happening out there.
Well, we hire a street sweeper in the spring and the fall. But in the meantime, we have our own street sweeper. We just can't do the whole city. So what we do is some of the main drags, or when there's a lot of junk in the streets, we'll go sweep that up. So they're doing that. But you'll also see the big grinders out there. We had to take a lot of ash trees down, both in the parks and on the right of ways. And so they're going around grinding up those stumps. So if you see that and hear that noise, sorry about that, but that's the only way we can get those stumps out. Now, the other thing that's happening at Public Works is a soil storage building.
Okay.
And somebody said, why in the world would you build a building to keep dirt in? Well, in the wintertime, if we have a water main break, we need to have sand and dirt, and we can't have it frozen. And so that sand and dirt was being kept inside the Public Works building, and our trucks were being kept outside, because it's really important that we kept that sand and dirt at a temperature that they could use.
Sure.
And so they had this bright idea that they would build a separate building and heat it, of course, move the sand and dirt out there where it really belonged, and put our trucks inside where they also belong. So that's why we're getting a sand and soil building because we need to keep it warm for the winter.
All right, let's talk a little water in the city and some of the infrastructure projects happening. There's some folks along Bass Lake Road that are happy now as the water process keeps coming back, but still more to be done in another area close by.
There is. Well, they put a new water main in on Bass Lake Road. And when they do that, first they check the pressure to make sure the pipe's not leaking, and also to make sure they've got the right pressure going into the homes. The other thing they do is a bacteria check. We're very careful about our water. We get it from Minneapolis. We have really good water. But when they do that kind of a repair, they want to make sure that that water passes the bacteria check before they start pumping it into the houses. So that's what they're doing this week, is doing that bacteria check. If they're not already hooked up, the houses should be fully hooked up by the end of the week.
Very good. And then some work going on Independence as well. Same type of work. So be watching out for that. Let's go to Park and Rec, an annual event that's always a big hit. Just happened this past weekend. That's the vehicle fair. Tell us what the youngsters and families saw.
Oh, they loved it. They always love it. There were about 1,000 people that came through.
Wow.
The kids just love playing on the trucks and sitting in those big plows and those big front end loaders. So the kids come. It's a free fair. It was at Crystal Community Center. And it's been going on for years, and it's just a great event for the city.
Speaking of trucks, different type of truck here, one that you might want to go have lunch with. The food trucks are coming up on Friday. And also, I understand there's a special added event at one of the food truck Fridays. What's going on coming up here? Well,
this coming Friday, first of all, they're playing bingo from 10 to 11. Okay. It's free. So just wander over, go play bingo for an hour at the pavilion. And that's just kind of up the hill from where the food trucks will be. The food trucks will be in the parking lot. And I think there's 3, 4, 5, don't know how many exactly. And you can just wander amongst them and buy some truck food and then go back to the pavilion and eat it. So
sounds fun.
We think the food truck Fridays are really fun.
And I think the weather's supposed to be getting warmer by Friday. So it's going to be a perfect opportunity to get out. Tell us about the Young Mudder event once again. It's coming up pretty quickly here. And you're saying even if you don't go in the mud, you should watch others go in the mud?
Yeah. Well, Young Mudders is between, I think it's 6 and 12.
Okay.
And the kids. And the last hour, the parent can play in the mud too, if they want, if they have to register, of course. But I've gone a couple times to watch this. If you had never seen it, it's really worth watching. These kids it's an obstacle course, and these kids just go sliding through the mud. And of course, the fire department's there to rinse the kids off before they put them in mom and dad's nice clean car. So we rinse the kids off, and hopefully they'll dry a little bit before they get in the car to go home. But if you're not doing anything between 9 and 12 on Saturday, it's at Valley Place Park in Crystal. And just go and watch it because it's really fun to watch.
Yeah, does sound like some great fun. Recruitment still happening for the summer ball program. What type of help does the city need to make that program a success?
Well, we need volunteer coaches for some of the teams.
Okay.
And we try to have a couple coaches for each team because you never know when somebody's out of town or sick, and if you're coaching those little guys, then you need more than one coach. So we're still looking for those volunteer coaches, and they're starting to do the schedules. And of course, we're training the folks that are doing the park programs too now.
Great.
So lots of stuff. Pretty soon the parks will just be crowded with kids again.
No doubt about it. And other places crowded around the city are some of the big venues. One would be the golf course is very busy. I understand the Lions took over the course here soon. What was happening?
Oh my goodness. Yes, it was last Saturday. There were 150 players, which is just amazing. So there were Lions and their friends all over the place. It was a very successful event for them. And just a note, that front patio at the golf course, the Lions were the ones that provided the funds to put that front patio in. The city did a lot of the work, and the Lions provided the money to buy the materials to do that. So thank you, Lions, for doing that. The Lions are just such a benevolent organization in this city, and they give a lot back to the city, not just to the city itself, but to a lot of our sports teams and just various things. So we appreciate our Lions.
Very true. That's fantastic. Let's hop over to the ice arena. Even though it's off season, there's still some adults that just can't wait to get on the ice every week. Who are these people that are playing?
Well, probably need some psychiatric help if they're playing hockey. They're young, they're adults, and they're not necessarily young, and there's
Right.
16. And so these 6 adult teams rent the ice arena. So even though the season is over for the high school and the youth hockey that play, now it's time for the adults to be playing hockey on the rink. So they rent that rink out all the time for various events, and it seems to be a big hit.
Yeah, good for them. They know when to go when it's not that busy. They have it all to themselves. One spot in town that you won't have all to yourself is the Aquatic Park, and it was a big opening this past weekend. A little cool, but people still came out, didn't they?
They did. You know, when you're young, I think you don't care if the water's cold.
True.
And they had something out there called WIBIT, WIBIT, and what it is, it's an aqua obstacle course, and the kids just love it. And so lots of kids playing on that. It was a little down from a couple of years ago, that opening, but it was so cold. As of last Thursday, they've sold 1,243 season passes, which is just amazing. So now the pool is closed this week, and it'll open again on the 9th, and hopefully it'll start to get a little bit warmer, so it won't be quite so cold in the pool. But kids don't seem to mind.
No, that is very true. And a lot of different activities to do there at the pool and places to sit and just enjoy the sun. Well, Mayor, thank you so much again for all of the information. And coming up, we have a look at some of the events coming up in the city. But as always, want to leave you with the website, newhopemn.gov. A lot of information passed along today. So go there to find out more of what's happening in the city. Mayor, thanks again for your time. We'll look forward to see you again next week.
Thanks, Dave. Have a good week.
You too. Learn more about The Connection at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.